Teachers' Day being observed across the country today. President Ramnath Kovind confers 44 teachers with national awards via video conferencing. Central team of experts in Kerala to support state in curbing the Nipah virus after death of a 12-year-old boy in the state's Kozhikode district. Nationwide COVID vaccination campaign paces up. Over 68 crore vaccine doses administered so far. India administers more vaccine doses in the month of August than all the G7 nations put together. Government formation in Afghanistan lingers on. Struggle between Taliban fighters and the National Resistance Force for the capture of Panjshir Valley on. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will be in Qatar today. Islamic State kills 13 policemen near Iraq's Kirkuk as members of terrorist organization target a federal police checkpoint. India scripts new history at the Paralympics with highest ever tally of a total of 19 medals at the Tokyo Games 2020, including 5 gold, 8 silver and 6 bronze medals. Paralympic Games to conclude today. Good afternoon, welcome to the News 2 News Connect. I'm Amrit Pal Singh. Our top story, President Ramnath Kovind felicitated 44 teachers from across the nation for their exceptional contribution in the field of education during the National Teachers Award ceremony on the occasion of the Teachers' Day. Addressing virtually the event, the President said that our education policy should inculcate constitutional values among students and develop them as responsible citizens.
श्री जगतार सिंह, शिक्षक, राजकीय प्राथमिक विद्यालय मानेला फतेहगढ़ साहिब।
राजस्थान झुंझुनू सूरजगढ़ पिलानी से श्रीमती अचला वर्मा, अध्यापिका बिरला बालिका विद्यापीठ।
राजस्थान से श्री दीपक जोशी, शिक्षक, राजकीय उच्चतर माध्यमिक विद्यालय दांडूसर बीकानेर।
राजस्थान झुंझुनू सूरजगढ़ से श्री जय सिंह, सीनियर फिजिकल टीचर, राजकीय उच्चतर विद्यालय देवरोड।
गुजरात से श्रीमती वनीता दयाभाई राठौड़, प्रधानाचार्य, श्री विनोबा भावे, स्कूल नंबर 93, वेस्ट जोन, राजकोट।
गुजरात भुज से श्री अशोक कुमार मोहनलाल परमार, अध्यापक, हितेश कोलखिया विद्यालय।
मध्य प्रदेश से श्री शक्ति पटेल, माध्यमिक शिक्षक, राजकीय उच्च विद्यालय मंडला।
प्रिय शिक्षकगण, पिछले वर्ष लागू की गई हमारी राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में भारत को ग्लोबल नॉलेज सुपर पावर के रूप में स्थापित करने का महत्वाकांक्षी उद्देश्य निश्चित किया गया है। विद्यार्थियों को ऐसी शिक्षा प्रदान करनी है जो ज्ञान पर आधारित न्यायपूर्ण समाज के निर्माण में सहायक हो। हमारी शिक्षा व्यवस्था ऐसी होनी चाहिए जिससे विद्यार्थियों में संवैधानिक मूल्यों तथा नागरिकों के मूल कर्तव्यों के प्रति निष्ठा उत्पन्न हो, देश के प्रति प्रेम की भावना मजबूत बने तथा बदलते वैश्विक परिदृश्य में वे अपनी भूमिका के बारे में सचेत रहें।
Speaking during the virtual ceremony, President Ramnath Kovind paid tributes to former President of India, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, on his birth anniversary. The President said that while Dr. Radhakrishnan handled several high-level portfolios, he always wished to be remembered as an academician and a teacher.
कि शिक्षक दिवस का आयोजन पूर्व राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर सर्वपल्ली राधाकृष्णन के जन्मदिन के उपलक्ष्य में 5 सितंबर को मनाया जाता है। डॉक्टर राधाकृष्णन एक दार्शनिक और विद्वान के रूप में विश्व विख्यात थे। यद्यपि उन्होंने अनेक उच्च पदों को सुशोभित किया, परंतु वो चाहते थे कि उन्हें एक शिक्षक के रूप में ही याद किया जाए। डॉक्टर राधाकृष्णन ने एक श्रेष्ठ शिक्षक के रूप में अपनी अमिट छाप छोड़ी है।
Jacinta, a teacher from Mizoram, received the National Award from President Ramnath Kovind today. Jacinta expressed her happiness on receiving the National Award. She is currently the head teacher of A&M Grandchild School in Serchhip district of Mizoram. Listen.
I want to express my sincere gratitude to Ministry of Education, State Selection Committee as well as District Selection Committee, and also I'm thankful to my colleagues who have been working with me and supporting me. I am proud to be a teacher and I love my profession very much, that the mother of all the other professions. Being an enthusiastic teacher, I will work more and more for the development of education and to have a better generation in this country.
And Deepak Joshi, who teaches science at the Government Senior Secondary School in Bikaner, Rajasthan, also received the National Award for teachers from the President. Deepak Joshi said it's like a dream come true for him on winning the award.
ये मेरे लिए एक स्वप्न की पूर्ति के समान है। मेरे चयन का जो मुख्य आधार जो है, जैसा कि मुझे लगता है, वो था साइंस में इनोवेशन तथा एजुकेशन में नई टेक्नोलॉजी, नई तकनीकी का उपयोग करना। हमने अपने विद्यार्थियों के साथ मिलकर 32 नवाचारी मॉडल, अभिनव मॉडल जो है, इनोवेटिव मॉडल जो है, वो हमने तैयार किए थे, जो कि कम्युनिटी बेस्ड थे। कोरोना महामारी के दौरान मेरे विद्यार्थियों की शिक्षा जो है वो अनवरत रूप से चलती रहे बिना किसी बाधा के, इसलिए मैंने एक YouTube चैनल जो है वो तैयार किया जिसका नाम था V4U भारत, और इस चैनल पर मैंने 120 के करीब ई कंटेंट जो है वो तैयार करके अपलोड किए। और इसके अतिरिक्त मैंने अपने विद्यार्थियों के साथ मिलकर कई लो कॉस्ट टीचिंग लर्निंग मटेरियल जो है वो भी तैयार किए, जिसकी सहायता से हमने विज्ञान को सरल, सहज और रोचक बनाया।
A teacher from Bhopal, Shakti Patel, who was also awarded the award today, expressed his gratitude and said that he would continue to work in the interest of society and the nation.
छात्रों के हितार्थ, समाज के हितार्थ मैंने अनेक कार्य और नवाचार किए हैं, जिसके अंतर्गत मुख्य रूप से छात्रों को स्थानीय संस्कृति से कनेक्ट करके उनको अध्यापन कार्य कराना, शिक्षण में मेमोरी बढ़ाने के लिए मेमोनिक तकनीक का सहारा लेना, और कोरोना काल के दौरान छात्रों को निःशुल्क नोट्स का वितरण करना और YouTube पर वीडियोस अपलोड करना शामिल है। इसके अलावा छात्रों के कल्याण के लिए अनेक गतिविधियां उनको ओजस यूथ क्लब के माध्यम से कराई जाती हैं और जीवन कौशल शिक्षा के सत्र आयोजित किए जाते हैं।
A teacher from Kerala, Prasad Manap Rampur Bhaskaran, the head teacher of the government LP school, has expressed his happiness on getting the Teachers Award from the President.
Being a headmaster and as a teacher, I still believe for a student to understand the topic or the subject once taught, they have to experience the same in their life. Learning things from school is a basic thing, but applying the same thing in the real life is entirely different skill. I always believe that those kinds of experiences are the ones needed for the children to mold a better future, because it will always remain in the mind of our children.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu is in Hyderabad today. He addressed a gathering as a chief guest to confer the 11th Annual Medical Teachers' Day Awards there. Speaking at the occasion, the Vice President emphasized on the importance of the relationship between the student and the teacher. He also pressed upon the essential role of teachers in getting the students on a righteous path.
Guru Shishya Parampara, the tradition of the relationship between the Guru and the student, is known and talked about. The Guru is someone who shows the virtuous path, shape character, brings about enlightenment and awakening, preserve culture and transform our future.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the inaugural conclave of the Shikshak Parv on 7 September via video conferencing. He will also launch multiple key initiatives in the education sector during the event. The Prime Minister will launch the Indian Sign Language Dictionary, talking books, School Quality Assurance and Assessment Framework for CBSE Nishta Teachers Training Program for the Nipun Bharat and Vidyanjali portal. The theme of Shikshak Parv 2021 is Quality and Sustainable Schools, Learnings from Schools in India. Its celebration will encourage innovative practices to ensure not only continuity of education at all levels but to improve quality, inclusive practices and sustainability in schools across the country as well. And in other news, in Kerala, a suspected case of Nipah, a 12-year-old boy who presented with the features of encephalitis and myocarditis from Kozhikode district of Kerala passed away today morning. As the contact tracing has completed for the Nipah virus incident, a list of 188 people has been drawn. Out of this, 136 are health workers in various hospitals. 2 of the contacts have shown some symptoms and have moved to the Nipah special ward set up in Kozhikode Medical College. Meanwhile, the centre has rushed a team of NCDC to the state. The team will provide technical support to the state in public health measures. Earlier on Saturday, a high-level ministerial meeting was held in Calicut to draw an action plan. Kerala State Health Minister said that neighbouring districts of Mallapuram and Kannur will be at high alert. The minister also assured that the teams are already in action for containing the spread. The infection tracing its origin to fruit bats in the region was first detected in Kerala's Kozhikode in 2018. The state had witnessed 17 deaths and 18 confirmed cases till June 1st, 2018. Meanwhile, a team of state health officials and police personnel reached the Chatham Mangalam village in Kerala to take stock of the situation after the first death due to the Nipah virus was reported. And for more on that story, I am joined by my colleague Ajay Joy over the phone line. Ajay, what more details can you share with us? We understand the NCDC team is in the state to investigate the case.
Yes, they are already in the state, and it's now understood that they have visited the place where the incident was reported, the locality of the child who has been identified as the first case this year. And the state health minister had conducted a conference by afternoon. There she had mentioned that 188 people were identified in the contact list, and out of them 20 are in the primary contact case structure, and out of the 188, 136 they belong to health workers because the child has been taken to multiple hospitals, and finally this was confirmed with the Nipah case. And among them who have developed Nipah symptoms, so they are right now moved to the special Nipah care which is being established in Calicut Medical College right now. Now it is understood that National Institute of Virology a team is coming from there to set up the testing centers in Calicut Medical College and as a point of care test. And the secondary confirmation will be from NIV Pune itself. So this is how the testing, as far as the testing is concerned, things are getting set up here. Special ward has been opened right now in Calicut Medical College because COVID was already there. The team is already prepared in all way to contain this, because essentially whatever is required for containing, it's the same case as in COVID, N95. Sanitation, everything remains the same. So this time, the state will be better prepared to contain it. And if you look at the 2019 case, in 2018, around 18 persons were contracted, but whereas in 2019, a single case was reported and there was no case of contraction. So state will, it's hope the state is in full control right now. It's more about identifying and confirming the full contact list, right? And that's how that is going on. The route map of the child is being published. That's what the state health minister said. So whoever has come in that list of places where the child was taken to, they should voluntarily report to the state authorities. Already 188 number list has been prepared, but whoever is not in the list, they should contact health authorities. That's what State Health Minister communicated to the media this afternoon.
Okay, Ajay, many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. And moving on to our next story, which is COVID-19 situation from across the country. In the last 24 hours, 38,091 patients have recovered from the virus. So far, 38,092 patients have recovered across the country. India's recovery rate stands at 97.42%. The country reported 42,766 new cases in the last 24 hours. The active caseload now stands at 4,10,048. Active cases presently constitute 1.24% of the country's total positive cases. The weekly positivity rate is 2.62%, which is less than 3% for the last 72 days. The daily positivity rate is reported to be 2.45%. The testing capacity across the country has been ramped up. More than 53 crore COVID tests have been conducted so far. And under India's largest vaccination campaign, 68 crore 46 lakh 69,521 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far. More than 71 lakh 61,000 vaccine doses have been administered on Sunday. More than 66.89 crore vaccine doses provided to the states and have been provided to the states and UTs. More than 4.37 crore balance and unutilized vaccine doses are still available with the states and UTs, with more than 1.56 crore doses in the pipeline. In Kerala, night curfew and lockdown on Sundays continues amid spiraling up of the COVID-19 cases. Police was seen ensuring strict enforcement of the lockdown rules on roads. Only essential services have been allowed to function during the Sunday lockdown. Kerala government had on Friday issued an order stating that strict action will be taken against those violating the COVID-19 quarantine and isolation norms. The order also stated that provisions of the Disaster Management Act, the Kerala State Epidemic Act and other relevant legal provisions will be invoked. The state has reported a sharp rise of more than 3,600 cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total number to crossing 2,50,000. Talking about Assam now, the flood situation in Assam continues to improve as the water level in Brahmaputra and its tributaries is receding fast in most of the areas. The number of affected people decreased by around 1 lakh in the last 24 hours. Currently, there are 863 villages reeling underwater under 42 revenue circles in 17 districts, with about 1,70,000 number of affected people. However, Morigaon district is yet to witness significant improvement, where one more death has been reported, taking the tally to 7 this season, and 272 villages are still in a submerged state. As of now, 17 relief camps across the state are sheltering 3,397 inmates. And for more on that, I'm joined by my colleague Kamal Bora. Kamal, give us a sense of, we understand that the water level is receding in the Brahmaputra. More and more villages are coming out of the spate of the affected due to the rise in water levels. But one also understands that there are 863 villages which are still affected. Give us the sense of the operations going on there.
Yes, see what it, if we see the whole statistics, the number everywhere, the number is declining, and we can see significant improvement as far as the overall situation is concerned. But if we talk about number of villages affected, though the overall number of districts has come down, but Morigaon, that is the major concern because 272 villages are there, which is still in a submerged state. So, though rain is not taking place, water, are still there. I think it will take some more time. But if we see the overall situation, the lower some area also, if we talk about Nalbari, everywhere the water level is receding and number of affected people also, coming down every day. It has come down below 1,27,000. So So this is kind of improvement we have seen, and though we got the prediction from IMD that heavy rainfall was about to take place, but it's not happening. That's a great news. If it takes place, definitely situation may again turn green from its past.
Okay, and give us a sense of the relief camps where in the state where there are about close to 3,500 inmates still there.
Yes, if we see the number of relief camps, that is also coming down. It's now 17. The day before yesterday, the number was little more, but now it's 17 and 3,300 people are taking shelter. These are those people who are not in the state where the areas are still in a summer state. Definitely in the next coming 2 or 3 days, I think this number is also will go down. We can see some drastic changes on the path.
All right, Kamal, many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. The Jawaharlal Nehru University on Saturday said its campus will reopen in phases from September 6th. The university said that no one without a mask will be allowed to enter the campus. The Students' Union had been demanding the reopening of the campus in a phased manner. Phase 1 of reopening of JNU begins from tomorrow. All final year PhD research scholars, both hostlers and day scholars who are to submit their PhD thesis on or before 31st of December this year are allowed to enter into the campus. All persons with disabilities category students of the PhD program are also allowed to enter the campus. The teaching and learning will continue to be in the online mode. The schools and the centers level libraries shall remain closed. Upon arrival on campus, every student will produce a COVID-19 RT-PCR negative test report done within 72 hours. Students, teachers and employees living in the containment zone are not allowed to come to the university campus. On the last leg of his three-nation tour, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in Denmark, where he co-chaired the 4th India-Denmark Joint Commission meeting with Danish Foreign Affairs Minister Jeppe Kofod. Both leaders have noted steady progress in joint working groups across many sectors. The joint action plan to follow up on the 2020 virtual summit was also reviewed with the progress seen in the Green Strategic Partnership. External Affairs Minister held productive discussions with CEOs of Vestas, Grundfos, CIP, Haldor Topsoe and Masks and chamber representatives. The meetings helped to make the Green Strategic Partner happen. Dr. Jaishankar thanked Danish Foreign Affairs Minister Jeppe Kofod for the initiative in bringing them together. And the External Affairs Minister also travelled with Danish Foreign Minister and the Vestas CEO Anderson on a boat signifying a partnership focused on wind and water. And the External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar also met Queen Margaret II in Copenhagen. He deeply appreciated her warm sentiments for India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has topped a global leaders approval rating as per the latest survey by Morning Consult Political Intelligence. Leaving behind US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and others, according to the survey conducted among all adults, the Prime Minister Modi received a stellar approval rating of over 70%, while Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador was second with 64%. German Chancellor Angela Merkel bagged 52% and US President Joe Biden only 40% of the approval rating. Morning Consult Political Intelligence is currently tracking the approval rating for governmental leaders in Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Spain, the United Kingdom and the United States. Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur has tweeted, and I quote, Prime Minister Modi's leadership has brought stability along with reforms, targets set with timelines met, accountability along with transparency and a growing clout for rising and confident India that takes leadership as well as ownership on the world stage, unquote. The global wellness markets are set to rise manifold post-COVID-19, and the Indian startups are set to make a significant mark in the sector. My colleague Ajay Mishra caught up with an emerging wellness startup, Jogani Wellness. The company has acquired 16 patents.
The global wellness market is $1.5 trillion, and there are many Indian startups who are actually eyeing a pie of this huge share of wellness market. We have with us a startup from Mumbai, the founder of Jogani Wellness, Mahesh Jogani. Thank you very much, sir. How did this idea came in your mind about focusing on the wellness market?
I see yoga become $1 billion business in a couple of years, and I follow traditional wellness therapy from that time. And I attend one seminar which is on success story of traditional Chinese therapy. And I make my mind to enter into modernization of Indian traditional wellness therapy. That
I
is
think we are older than the China, isn't it?
far older, far, yeah. We are 10,000 year old culture, and we have very diverse, wellness practices like yoga.
Right.
If yoga can become $1 billion business, why not other? So that is our work area in Jogani Wellness.
So I can see one of the products that you have come with, and I would like to focus on this. What is exactly this product is doing, and how this gentleman is going to benefit?
Ajay ji, what we did is we modernize 3-4 alternative therapies in very easy, economical and convenient method for detoxification. So this we call detox and pain relief device, which is based on acupressure, shake therapy, that is Ayurveda, and through sweating it detox.
And then what are other products and services that you are working on, and can you share some of the ideas that you will be focusing on in the future?
Ajay ji, we got many patents in this area, modernization of traditional wellness therapy. Like this device work on body. So we have one device which we call relaxation therapy device, which work on mind. So in a busy corporate, software techies, so they all feel stress. That device based on Indian Saptaka, Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha Ni. You just play it and magic. 2 minutes you relax.
Finally, in terms of numbers, where is your startup right now, and how do you see its future going forward?
Ajay ji, we are into early success mode. So we have very good business in 3-4 places like Kokilaben Ambani Hospital. They are selling our device in a very good way, and we are selling our product through alternative therapist. So I'm looking for a big order from International Wellness Resorts as well.
Thank you very much, Mahesh ji, and I wish you all the best in your new venture, and we hope that this Indian startup ecosystem, which is mature now, is going to make a huge pie in the wellness market, and not only wellness market, the solutions that the world is seeking for, the Indian startups are going to make a big share out of that.
And India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles of the modern world. Doordarshan India is bringing you a glimpse of these glorious struggles daily. In today's episode, we'll go through one of the most important days of the Indian freedom struggle, which is the initiation of the non-cooperation movement. And CMERI developed a mechanized Chidambaram Pillai founded the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company, or the SSNC, in 1906 to compete against the monopoly of the British India Steam Navigation Company. He launched the first indigenous Indian shipping service between Tuticorin and Colombo, with SSNC competing against British ships. Tuticorin Port Trust, one of India's 13 major ports, is named after him. Today is his birth anniversary. Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Chidambaram Pillai, the legendary freedom fighter. Remembering the visionary Chidambaram Pillai, Prime Minister said, and I quote, he made pioneering contributions to our freedom movement. He also envisioned a self-reliant India and made key efforts towards it, especially in ports and shipping sectors. We are deeply inspired by him, unquote. and also taking a look into the major contributions made by Chidambaram Pillai into the these are it was him who founded the Tuticorin Port Trust, and then we see it is what was on this day he was born in 1872.
Today is one of the most important days in Indian freedom struggle. On this day in 1920, the non-cooperation movement was agreed upon against the British rule to demand Swaraj. It was Gandhiji's first pan-India satyagraha, and the movement arose from the widespread outcry in India over the massacre at Jallianwala Bagh at Amritsar in April 1919, when the British-led troops killed several hundred Indians. That anger was also compounded by indignation at the British failure to take adequate action against those responsible, especially General Dyer, who had commanded the troops involved in the massacre. With non-violent methods to be deployed during the Satyagraha, Gandhiji led the movement from the front, during which Indians resigned their titles, boycotted government educational institutions, courts, government service, foreign goods and elections, and refused to pay taxes. The British were perhaps for the first time confronted with such a united Indian front and were visibly shaken. However, a number of violent outbreaks broke the momentum of the non-violent movement, and after an angry mob murdered police officers in Chori Chora in Uttar Pradesh state in February 1922, Gandhiji himself called off the movement.
Even though the non-cooperation movement could not achieve its goal of Swarajya, the movement was a massive encouragement to millions of Indians and marked the transition of Indian nationalism from a middle class to a mass basis. It colored the country with national zeal, as during this time, many Indian schools and colleges were opened and Indian-made goods became highly popular. The great South Indian patriot and freedom fighter, the Tamil helmsman Kapalottiya Tamilan V.O. Chidambaram Pillai, or VOC, was born on this day in 1872 in Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu. Since his young days, he was influenced by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and along with Subramanyam Siva and Subramanya Bharati, he was the prominent spokesperson for the cause of Swadeshi in the Madras Presidency. A renowned advocate, he was one of the earliest to start the Dharma Sangha Nesavuchillai for handloom industry and the Swadeshi stores for the sale of India-made things to the people. He played a lead role in many institutions like the National Godown, Madras Agro-Industrial Society Limited and the Desa Abhiman Sangam. The partition of Bengal in 1905 saw him taking a direct interest in the political struggle.
பனிமலையின் மீதுலாவுவோம் அடிமேலை கடல் முழுதும் கப்பல் விடுவோம் வெள்ளி பனிமலையின் மீதுலாவுவோம் அடிமேலை கடல் முழுதும் கப்பல் விடுவோம்.
To challenge the domination of British in the shipping industry, he started the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company on the 12th of November 1906. He purchased two steamships SS Galia and SS Lao for the company and commenced regular services between Tuticorin and Colombo. His efforts to widen the base of the Swadeshi movement brought him into increasing conflict with the British Raj, and on 12 March 1908 he was arrested on charges of sedition and his barrister's license was revoked. The court imposed a sentence of 2 life imprisonments. However, VOC stepped out of prison in late December 1912 after a High Court appeal reduced his prison sentence. He died in late 1936 with the passion for freedom still raging in his mind till the last moment. An erudite scholar in Tamil, a prolific writer and a dauntless freedom fighter, his life is a story of resistance, strife, struggle, suffering and sacrifice for the national cause.
பனிமலையின் மீதுலாவுவோம் அடிமேலை கடல் முழுதும் கப்பல்.
And Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, also paid floral tributes to the portrait in the statue of freedom fighter Chidambaram Pillai on his 150th birth anniversary outside the Chennai port. Chidambaram Pillai founded the Swadeshi Steam Navigation Company in 1906 to compete against the monopoly of the British India Steam Navigation Company. He launched the first indigenous Indian shipping service between Tuticorin and Colombo, with the SSNC competing against British ships. The Tuticorin Port Trust, one of India's 13 major ports, is named after him. CMERI developed a mechanized scavenging system which was initiated after intensive studies of diverse nature of the Indian sewage systems and the manner of its chokages. The modern technology is modular in design so as to ensure customized deployment strategies as per situational requirements. More in this report by my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya.
Taking a cue from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's clarion call of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and also to end discriminatory and hazardous practice of manual scavenging, CSIR and CMERI has developed a mechanized scavenging system. The system, initiated after intensive studies of diverse nature of Indian sewage systems and the manner of its chokages. The technology is modular in design so as to ensure customized deployment strategies as per situational requirements.
हम लोगों ने 3 अलग-अलग डिवाइस बनाई है जो सीवेज वाटर को ड्रेन करने में काम आते हैं और मेन होल होता है जब वो चौक हो जाता है सीवेज सिस्टम तो उसके थ्रू जाके हम ड्रेन को क्लीन कर पाए या ड्रेनेज सिस्टम को क्लीन कर पाए। इनकी कॉस्ट शायद 5 लाख से 25 लाख तक की है।
The system also focuses upon sustainable usage of resources. This provides consolidated technology solution in flood-affected region as it will be able to clear drain chokages in such regions that will help in providing an outlet for stagnated water as well as provide water purification solutions in flood disaster zones. There are 3 variants of the mechanized scavenging system.
जो डिवाइस बनाई है या ऐसी डिवाइस जो बनी हुई है उनको रेगुलरली यूज करेंगे तो हमारा सिटी बहुत क्लीन रह सकता है। इवन जो एक रफ एस्टिमेशन है जो 30% फ्लड सिचुएशन है उनको भी कम किया जा सकता है।
Manual scavenging system would help the manual scavengers skill themselves on the latest technological advancements in sewerage maintenance systems as well as enhance their efficiency, performance and safeguard them against intrusive pathogens. This would also remove the indignity from the profession of scavenging and help convert their practice from unskilled to skilled. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
In a first, the raw wool is being turned into yarn locally in Jammu and Kashmir to boost the woolen carpet industry. Before this, due to lack of manufacturing facilities, authorities had to send whole wool production outside Jammu and Kashmir to prepare raw materials for woolen carpets. Things have changed this year. To take a look in this report.
Raw wool is being turned into yarn locally in Jammu and Kashmir to boost the woolen carpet industry for the very first time. Over the years, raw wool was being sent to other states to process it into yarn, which increased its cost. With Jammu and Kashmir administration providing the aid to weave wool locally, the workers in the industry are hopeful that it will bring significant benefits to the woolen carpets industry in the Union Territory. Woolen products made in Kashmir, especially carpets, have a big market worldwide due to its supreme quality. Presently, the weaving process of woolen carpets is underway on an experimental basis in the Indian Institute of Carpet Technology, Nowshera, Srinagar, under the supervision of experts of the institute and higher ups of departments of handicraft.
जम्मू कश्मीर की एक एडवांटेज है कि जम्मू कश्मीर इज सेकंड लार्जेस्ट वूल प्रोड्यूसर और हमारा सारा वूल बाहर जाता है, फिर बाहर से यार्न बन के वापस यहाँ आता है और यहाँ जो है हम कारपेट्स बनाते हैं। तो उससे जो है हमारे रॉ मटेरियल के कॉस्ट बढ़ जाते हैं। यार्न को हम यूज़ कर रहे हैं टू मेक आवर ओन लोकल वूलन कारपेट्स, जिससे एक तो इससे कॉस्ट कम होगा और हम जो है इनरोड्स कर पाएंगे या केटर कर पाएंगे अमेरिकन मार्केट को। तो यही पहल जो है यहाँ यहाँ पे हमने स्टार्ट किया।
हमें लग रहा है कि ये बड़ी अच्छी ब्रेकथ्रू होगा इंडस्ट्री के बारे में। इससे हमारा एक तो जो वूलन सेक्टर है उसको भी बूस्ट हो जाएगा एंड हमारा कार्पेट इंडस्ट्री में भी है उसको भी बूस्ट मिलेगा, बिकॉज मुझे जो दिखा ये वूल द क्वालिटी इज फैंटास्टिक।
With proper dyeing of processed yarn that is produced from raw wool here, a whole new process has begun at IICT, Srinagar. Weavers and other employees in the woolen carpets industry have lauded the thoughtful efforts of the Jammu and Kashmir administration for bridging the gap of wool production by bringing required manufacturing facilities. Artisans believe that the move will reduce the cost of production of carpets and significant profits can be earned henceforth.
गवर्नमेंट ने अच्छा कदम उठाया है कि जो कश्मीर से ये प्रोडक्ट तैयार होगा इसमें कश्मीर में भी बेचेंगे, बेचेंगे अच्छी तरह से बेचेंगे, जो लोकल की है वो भी लेंगे।
इसमें सर पहली बात यह है कि अपना प्रोडक्ट है, अपनी शीप है, जो भी यहाँ पर प्रोसेस हो रहा है वो सारा कुछ यहाँ पर ही हो रहा है। जो बाहर का वो लाते थे आज तक यहाँ पर उसकी कोई गारंटी नहीं है, तो उसमें महंगा भी होता है, मिक्सर भी होता है, उसको टेस्ट भी करने पड़ते हैं और वहाँ से महंगा भी पड़ सकता है। यहाँ अपना प्रोडक्ट है, जो भी शीप का अपना प्रोडक्ट है वो सस्ता भी हो सकता है।
Apart from the traditional markets, now the government is looking forward to new markets to promote the woolen carpet on a wider international level, including the American markets where people use woolen products at a very large scale. With efforts in the direction of promoting local produce, the future definitely seems bright for Jammu and Kashmir. Bureau Report, DD India.
In Ladakh's endeavour to become a certified organic state by the year 2025, Sikkim's Governor Ganga Prasad inaugurated 2 organic farming facilitation centres, one each at Leh and Kargil. Ladakh's Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur was also present during the event that was jointly organised by the Department of Agriculture of Sikkim and the Sikkim State Organic Certificate Agency. Addressing the inaugural event, the Governor of Sikkim, Ganga Prasad Chaurasia, assured all possible support in the field. The Governor also spoke of the great potential in the organic market. The Lieutenant Governor of Ladakh, R.K. Mathur, expressed gratitude to the Sikkim State Organic Certificate Agency for their cooperation and urged the agency's continued support to the UT administration in achieving the vision as per Prime Minister's given mantra of carbon neutrality. Poonch Brigade Army Unit organized a major Awami Mela in the Narayan Doke at high altitude in Sojian-Gagarian border area. More than 2,000 people participated in the Mela, where free medical facilities were also available. The Mela displayed cultural items. People of the region expressed gratitude to the Poonch Brigade Army Unit for organizing the Awami Mela in the far-flung belt. In Arunachal Pradesh, a 12-year-old is on a journey to become the state's youngest entrepreneur. With a soldering iron in his hand and eyes fixed on his work, Nuguruang Taya, a student of 7th standard, runs a micro-scale LED manufacturing business under the guidance of his father, Nuguruang Rajesh. Thrilled with his new skills, Taya passed on the knowledge to his 12-year-old cousin Nuguruang Mia, and together they manufactured 10 bulbs in the first day. He decided to name his product Kimin LED bulb after the name of his hometown and aims to become self-reliant. And let's now take a look at COVID-19 numbers from across the globe. More than 22.11 crore people have tested positive for COVID-19 across the world, while over 19.76 crore patients have recovered from infection so far. The deadly virus has claimed lives of 45.75 lakh people worldwide. The United States continues to witness a surge in new daily infections. More than 4.07 crore people have tested positive for the virus. Over 6.65 lakh people have died in the country due to COVID. In the US Delta variant has led to the spiraling up of COVID-19 cases. The country has been reporting around 160,000 cases on a nationwide basis daily. According to the health officials in the country, the hospitals are overwhelmed by unvaccinated COVID-19 patients. Main medical center in the city of Portland has also been flooded with unvaccinated patients who are critically ill. The hospital staff scrambles to save lives. The country reports average of 1,100 fatalities daily due to COVID-19. US has over 4 crores 7 lakh cases of COVID-19 so far. In France, continued protests for the 8th consecutive day against the mandatory health pass. The police in Paris detained several protesters for destroying public property. The police dispersed protesters who gathered at an underground shopping mall chanting anti-police slogans. The health pass is the official documentation with QR scan code that proves a person has had the COVID-19 vaccine. Many French restaurants, museums and sports venues have mandated health pass to provide entry into their premises. France has more than 68,26,000 cases of the disease, with fatalities crossing 1,14,000. In Argentina, hundreds of people gathered on the streets protesting against the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. The protesters laid rocks near Casa Rosada to represent more than 1,12,000 people who died from COVID-19 in the country. The protesters also expressed public anger for President Alberto Fernandez after he admitted a gathering that was held in contravention of the lockdown rules to celebrate the birthday of First Lady Fabiola Yanes. Argentina has registered more than 52,02,000 cases of COVID-19. And talking about Afghanistan now, the Taliban's offensive against Panjshir resistance forces has slowed down due to the presence of landmines in the area. A Taliban source said that fighting was continuing in Panjshir, but the advance had been slowed by landmines placed on the road to capital Bazarak and the provincial governor's compound. Fighting has been reported in Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley, the final pocket of territory which remains out of the hands of the Taliban. The fighting comes with the Taliban set to finalize a government. Panjshir Valley, north of Kabul, is one of Afghanistan's smallest provinces and the only one not to have fallen to the Taliban. Former Afghan Vice President Amarullah Saleh released a video statement yesterday declaring that he remained in the Panjshir Valley where anti-Taliban resistance continues. Saleh dismissed reports that he had left Afghanistan as propaganda by the enemy and described the current circumstances as difficult. Meanwhile, highlighting the ongoing humanitarian crisis in the Panjshir Valley, former Afghan Vice President Amarullah Saleh has called on the United Nations to do its utmost to prevent the Taliban's onslaught into the resistance stronghold. Raising an alarm over the situation in Panjshir, Saleh in a letter to the UN said, and I quote, "We call upon the United Nations and the international community to do its utmost to prevent the Taliban's onslaught into Panjshir province and encourage a negotiated political solution to ensure thousands of displaced and hosting civilians are saved." Around 250,000 people, including local women, children, elderly, and 10,000 of internally displaced persons who arrived in Panjshir after the fall of Kabul and other cities are also stuck inside these valleys and suffering from consequences in this inhuman blockade. If no attention is paid to the situation, a full-scale human rights and humanitarian catastrophe, including starvation and mass killing and even genocide of those people, are in the making. The internally displaced persons and locals displaced by the Taliban onslaught are currently staying in mosques, schools, health centers and in open spaces under the naked sky. Unquote. Meanwhile, dozens of women took to the streets of Afghanistan capital Kabul yesterday to demand their right to work, a role in any future government and a seat at the table in discussions with the Taliban. The protest began with 50 women marching towards the presidential palace. Taliban had employed both pepper spray and tear gas to try to disperse the crowd. The demonstration marks at least the fourth time women in Kabul and the western city of Herat have gathered to demand their rights in a future Taliban-led government. The crowd was surrounded on all four sides by Taliban, who told them to go home one by one. According to the participating women, said that the latest action was in response to a recent statement by senior Taliban leader Sher Mohammad Abbas Stanikzai. In Pakistan, 4 paramilitary guards were killed today when a suicide bomber on a motorbike blew himself up in the southwestern city of Quetta. The bomber targeted the frontier constabulary guards in Mia Gundi neighborhood of the city, around 140 kilometers from the frontier with Afghanistan, where Hazara merchants were trading vegetables. Police said that 3 persons died immediately in the blast, with another officer dying later of his wounds. 17 guards and 2 civilians were wounded in the blast. The 3 were in a critical condition. The spokesman for the police counter-terrorism department confirmed the attack. Quetta is home to approximately 500,000 Hazaras who live mostly in the ethnic enclave on the edge of the city. In Iraq, 13 policemen were killed in an IS group attack against a checkpoint in the country's north early today. Security forces and medical sources said that the attack in the region of Al-Rashad, around 65 kilometers south of Kirkuk city, took place just after midnight. ISIS seized swords of Iraq in a lighting offensive in 2014 before being beaten back by a counterinsurgency campaign supported by the US-led military coalition. The Iraqi government declared the Sunni extremists defeated in late 2017, but they retain sleeper cells which will continue to hit security forces with asymmetric attacks. And now news on the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics. India's golden journey continues in Tokyo's Paralympics. Indian badminton players continue to perform brilliantly. Badminton player Krishna Nagar has won the gold medal in the men's singles event. Krishna defeated Hong Kong player 2-1 in the SH6 category final. Nagar took the lead by winning the first game, but Hong Kong player made a comeback and won the second game. But in the third game, Nagar did not give any chance to his opponent and grabbed gold. With this, India has a total of 19 medals in the Tokyo Paralympics. And the president has tweeted, historic performance by Krishna Nagar. Krishan Nagar, strong and determined. You proved your mettle by winning gold medal at the Badminton Paralympics. Keeping the tricolor high. Your excellence is commendable. Many Indians will be inspired by you. Congratulations and best wishes. Unquote. And Prime Minister Modi has tweeted, happy to see our badminton players excel at the Tokyo Paralympics. The outstanding feat of Krishna Nagar, 99, has brought smiles to the face of every Indian. Congratulations to him for winning the gold medal. Wishing him the very best for his endeavors ahead. Unquote. In another match, Suhas Yathiraj has won silver medal in the para badminton in the men's singles SL4. In the final, Suhas was up against the French player. Suhas won the first game easily, but in the second game, the French player got hold of the match and managed to win the gold. Suhas had to be content with the silver medal. And the President of India tweeted, congratulations to Suhas Yathiraj, who gave a tough fight to the world number 1 and won silver medal in badminton at the Paralympics. Your dedication in pursuing sports while discharging duties as a civil servant is exceptional. Best wishes for future full of accomplishments. And the Prime Minister tweeted, and I quote, "A fantastic confluence of service and sports. Suhas Yataraj has captured the imagination of the entire nation thanks to his exceptional sporting performance. Congratulations to him on winning the silver medal in badminton. Best wishes to him for his future endeavors," unquote. And Union Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur also congratulated the winners of the Paralympic Games today. Thakur said that sports has become an unprecedented part of everyone's life now, and he also said that our medal tally has increased 5 times with this performance. He also said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding Paralympians just like he hosted the Olympians.
खेलों के प्रति सोच बदलने की और जब सरकार हर तरह की सुविधाएं दे रही है, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी स्वयं खिलाड़ियों से बात करते हैं, उनका मनोबल बढ़ाते हैं, तो निश्चित तौर पर समाज के बाकी वर्ग भी, चाहे वो कॉर्पोरेट हो, एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूट हो, फेडरेशन से, आम आदमी की सोच को भी। आज जो फ्लाइट में था तो बहुत सारे लोग आकर बधाई दे रहे थे कि ओलंपिक्स और पैरालंपिक्स में भारत ने बहुत अच्छा किया है। तो बदलाव आया है, जो पहले कभी केवल क्रिकेट के लिए मिलता था, अब ओलंपिक्स खेलों के लिए भी देखने को मिल रहा है। ये हम बदलेंगे, लोगों की जुड़ाव और होगा, सब स्टेक होल्डर्स इकट्ठा मिलकर काम करेंगे तो निश्चित तौर पर भारत आगे और अच्छा करेगा।
And I'm joined by my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya for more on that. Tapas, 19 medals at the Tokyo Paralympics. The golden journey continues. As the games come to a close today, what do you analyze the reason for such a huge medal tally?
Well, let me just first start with the fact that this is a landmark moment. This is what you call the watershed moment in Indian sports, considering the fact that since the inception in 1968, where India first time participated in the Paralympics till 2016 Rio Games, India had won 12 medals, and this time alone in the Tokyo Games we have managed to bag 19 medals, which is 7 times more than what was earlier. So what I can tell you is that there's a huge change in the mindset that can be seen, and there are basically 2 reasons that can easily be summed up. The first and foremost is definitely the backing that the government has provided to these athletes. Remember, most of these athletes do not get private or NGO backed. There are only handful of few of these athletes which gets backed by NGOs or by other organizations, but it's mostly the 99% have been provided by the government of India. And if you take a close look at their expenses, at their foreign exposure and for their training purposes, you can see that it's a huge infrastructure push that has been given by the government. The second and the very important part that can be summed up is the way the Prime Minister himself have pushed these athletes before they left for the Tokyo Games. Prime Minister spoke to these athletes, and that kind of filled them with a lot of confidence. In fact, after winning each and every individual who won the medal, he got a call from the Prime Minister, which again boosted his confidence. They got a call. He also spoke about their family. So that kind of somewhere down the line pushed them out so much that they wanted to push themselves beyond the boundaries of what anybody could have done. And when they came back also in the country, they said that it is the call of the Prime Minister to go out there, enjoy and not worry about the result, that actually pushed them and motivated them to do so well. And the result is in front of you. It is
Okay.
a collective effort. The
Right.
Sports Authority of India, the Union Government, everybody patient with the Paralympic Committee of India, headed by Deepa Malik, who is a silver medalist herself in the Rio Games.
All right, Tapas, we'll have to leave it there. Many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. And on the occasion of the Teachers' Day, Union Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur today visited the office of the Sports Authority of India in Bangalore. The Sports Minister took stock of the facilities and management in the Sports Authority of India, Bangalore. He also inquired about the medical facilities available there. After this, the Sports Minister also visited the hockey ground at Sai, Bangalore, where men's hockey team practiced and won bronze in the Olympics to create history. On this occasion, the Sports Minister said that the centre is very important for India. During the time of Corona, hockey players were given good skills and training here, and they created history in Olympics.
स्पोर्ट्स अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया का बेंगलुरु का ये सेंटर भारत के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, जहां एक और हमारे हॉकी के खिलाड़ियों ने ओलंपिक्स में पार्टिसिपेट करने से पहले यहाँ पे कोचिंग कैंप में शामिल रहे और कोविड के समय जब बहुत सारी मुसीबतें थी उस समय सेंटर में हमारे खिलाड़ी सुरक्षित भी रहे, उनको अच्छी स्किल्स और ट्रेनिंग भी दी गई और खिलाड़ियों ने फिर टोक्यो ओलंपिक्स में जाकर इतिहास भी रचा, 41 वर्षों के बाद मेडल भी जीता और भविष्य के हमारे खिलाड़ी और कोच पीछे नजर आ ही रहे हैं जो भविष्य में भी भारत के लिए मेडल जीतने के लिए तैयार हैं। तो कुल मिलाकर सेंटर में क्या सुविधाएं हैं, किस तरह से ट्रेनिंग की जाती है, स्पोर्ट्स साइंस का कैसे बड़ा रोल आज की स्पोर्ट्स में है, उसके लिए भी जानना मैं चाहता था और किस तरह से हम इसको आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, फैसिलिटीज कैसी हैं, फैकल्टी मेंबर्स कैसे हैं और हम इसमें और क्या सुधार कर सकते हैं, उसको भी देखकर और कुल मिलाकर आज टीचर्स डे था तो उस समय पर भी सभी कोचेस का हाथ मिलने का अवसर भी मिला, जो डिप्लोमा कोर्सेज करना है उनसे मिलने का भी अवसर मिला।
And that's it then in News Connect. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.